Hello everyone. Today's video is going to be about the subject of atheism. I don't often make religious videos or religious related videos on the grounds that they're a bit too heavy and philosophical, even by my standards, I think, for to put in a short bandwidth. But I want to make a quick I want to make a 15-minute video here about the subject of atheism. And in this video I'm going to be talking about certain types of atheists. Now I want to make this very, very clear from the outset. I repeat, I am not talking about all atheists. So if you are an atheist, I would ask you to listen to the whole video before judging. I am not talking about all atheists, okay? For my own position, it's only fair that I say what I believe I am. I'm not strictly a person of faith in that I don't follow any organised religion. I used to be a Christian for a short time. At the moment I would call myself irreligious, in the sense that I don't subscribe to any organised Abrahamic religion, or any other religion for that matter. I guess agnosticism would be the closest sort of thing I would call myself, but then that is sort of a bit vague. Like, oh, you don't believe in anything. I do believe in something. I just don't know what yet. I think this is too big an issue to just rush to judgment on. So I'm still establishing what I'm comfortable with. I'm somewhat spiritual. I'm not an atheist, I can say that. I'm not an atheist. I don't believe that there is nothing there. I believe in science, but I don't believe that science is alone. I don't believe it's only science out there. I don't believe that we are born, we live and we die and that's it. I just don't believe that. I believe there has to be something more. Now, the atheist position would snigger at that. And I stopped short of saying God, but I also stopped short of saying I don't believe in God. The simple truth is I cannot say for an absolute fact that God doesn't exist. I can't say that. And I can't say for an absolute fact he does. So to me, agnosticism seems like a practical approach. Some would say it's sitting on the fence. I don't think so. I think it's a very reasonable approach for someone who isn't sure. So that's my position. This video is particularly aimed at, I've taken a stance against, I'm just saying this as the context, I've taken a stance against religious fundamentalism on many occasions. I've spoken out against Islamism. I've spoken out against Christian fundamentalism, and I will continue to do so. Religious extremism is a major problem in the world. It shackles, it persecutes, and it's an incredibly big barrier to human progress. That goes without saying. But more often than not, I come across atheist comments online, people calling themselves atheists or well-known atheists. To give some examples, Richard Dawkins and the late Christopher Hitchens. And I find there is a certain arrogance about the way they go about getting their viewpoint across. The problem for me is not what they believe in. They don't believe in God and they don't believe in organised religion. I take no issue with that. I can understand actually why they believe that, and I'm not even disputing that belief. I'm not saying they're wrong in that belief. It's not my own view, but I'm not going to say they're wrong because of my own persuasion. I'm an agnostic. But I do take issue with how they go about it. And for me, these particular atheists, these militant atheists I'll call them, are just as arrogant, just as obnoxious, and just as intolerant as the religious fundamentalists they attack. So to me, they're utter hypocrites, because they cannot seem to get their view across without making some snide, sarcastic comment about Christians or other people of faith. Usually, from what I see, the target is Christians, but they attack Muslims and other groups as well. They just can't seem to get the point across without a low blow, without a cheap slur on the people that they disagree with. And to me, that's a sign of, it's childish, but it's also a sign that you are using desperate tactics. Now, I'm not saying their argument is necessarily wrong, but I do resent the way they go about it. And I resent it because you cannot just dismiss 4 billion plus people as idiots. And that's what they're doing. They're saying if you believe in organised religion, you are an idiot. And that's a world outlook, black and white. You're a religious person, you're an idiot. Now that to me is extremely arrogant, and actually ignorant in itself, because there are many people of faith who hold university degrees, who are highly intelligent, who publish numerous books, and it's just, who lead nations for that matter. It's just an incredibly lazy slur to make. There are people of faith who are stupid and who are sheepish and who do follow the crowd. Of course there are. But there are also examples of atheist sheepishness. If you look at communist regimes, and I know atheists always resent this being brought up, but I do think it's valid. If you look at Maoist China, that was a fiercely atheist regime. And that was clearly brainwashing and sheepish behaviour. Talked about the Red Guards. Now, atheists like to distance themselves from that, but communist regimes like that under Mao fiercely persecuted religions. That's indisputable. And it was fiercely anti-theist, anti-God. So you cannot try and distance it from atheism, because it was extreme atheism. That's a fact. And you know, when that issue is brought up, atheists always like to distance themselves from it. To me, that's no different than people of faith trying to distance themselves from religious fanatics. So I just think it's very lazy thinking to just dismiss 4 billion plus people as idiots, and it's profoundly arrogant, and is very off-putting to those of us who are not people of faith, but have respect for the fact that there are millions and millions and millions of people who are. Now, I'm not saying that religion's above criticism, far from it. So I will stand by any atheist's right to criticise religion. I also stand by the right for satire in certain circumstances, and cartoons that mock religious extremism and so on. But I do think it's lazy to just mock people of faith as an approach to make an argument. That's lazy. It's not particularly clever, and it doesn't give you much moral high ground, actually. I'm just fed up with seeing it. And I do see it a lot online. I just wish that some of these militant atheists would practice what they preach. It's ironic, but yeah, practice what they're saying, really. They accuse religious people of being arrogant and forcing their views on others, but they need to look in a mirror, because that's exactly what they're doing. Now, it's true they may argue that they have science on their side. Okay. And they have a right to believe that people of faith are completely wrong, completely misguided, and they can prove it, etc., etc. But I still think they can do it in a much more civil way. Because so often it's a case of calling people of faith idiots, but it goes a lot further than that. It actually gets to a point of getting quite nasty. I mean, Richard Dawkins, to his atheist supporters, can do no wrong. There's a sort of personality cult around Mr. Dawkins, which is ironic. But I remember a while back he mockingly claimed that there's never been a Muslim Nobel laureate. Well, I'm sure that's not true. I think Muhammad Yunus was a Nobel recipient for economics. Don't quote me on that, but I doubt it's true that there's never been a Muslim Nobel laureate. I doubt that's true. And even if it was, it's just a very arrogant and sort of, I won't say racism, because of course Islam's not a race, but it's a sort of atheist language that is sometimes used that does them no favours as far as I'm concerned. If you want to make an argument, if you want to win an argument, then you're always going to win an argument based on facts and based on intelligent debate, not by just ridiculing the other side, as tempting as it is. Now, I can understand atheists responding to that if they've personally had experience of Christians trying to force their ways on them. So I can understand them retaliating to those particular Christians. But it pisses me off when atheists, these militant atheists, generalize all Christians, and they talk about Christians as if every Christian is the same. And they make out, this is what angers me about militant atheists, they make out that every single Christian is like Fred Phelps. That's just stupid, lazy thinking. You know, the vast majority of Christians I personally know are decent, normal people who lead normal lives, and they don't try to force their faith on others. And I wish these militant atheists would stop being so obnoxious and get out of their bubble and realise that not all people of faith are fundamentalists. I've got Christian friends, and I do find it personally insulting when I hear militant atheists talk like that, because I know the Christians that I know are not like that. They don't try to enforce their religion on me. They aren't always preaching and Bible thumping. No, they're not. And when I hear atheists talk about all Christians like, oh, they're all the same, or use language that describes them in that way, to me I'm just thinking, you're a damn hypocrite. Just look in the mirror. And we live in a world where there are examples of people of faith being persecuted. Now, you can argue it's at the hands of other religions. In many cases that's true, but there has been examples in the 20th century where people of faith have been persecuted by atheist regimes, or at least regimes that were fiercely anti-religion. So when hardcore atheists mock people of faith, I think they're actually insulting victims of that persecution. And I just wish they could. I remember someone I knew actually having the audacity to claim that Christianity is insignificant. Now, no matter how much you disagree with religious views, to claim that religion is insignificant in the world is just plain nuts. It's just clearly an ignorant point of view to take. You might hate the influence that religion has, but saying it has no significance is clearly stupid. It's clearly an illogical position to take. It just counters reality. I suspect that there will be atheists who will misunderstand this and think I'm a person of faith and I'm making excuses for religious fundamentalism, or I'm trying to shackle free speech or something like that. Certainly not. I'll always stand by an atheist's right to say his or her opinion, but I am calling out the way they do it. And if you just look around cyberspace, check out any religious video where it's religion versus atheism, and you'll get arrogant people on both sides. But I see a lot of people of faith who believe in what they believe and they don't want to impose it on others. And then the militant atheists don't recognise this. Like I say, I honestly believe they think that all Christians are like Fred Phelps. And that is just, it is insulting, but more importantly it's ignorant. And it actually does lead to, now maybe not in the case of the United States where Christianity is very strong, but in Europe where it's not, I do think it can lead to discrimination and prejudice against Christians. And I'm sick of it. So that's my thoughts on militant atheists. Not all atheists, just militant atheists.